Welcome to the channel. I'm 𝙠𝙤𝙧 and in this video we are going to create a stunning, an amazing email report design. Maybe you've seen a time-lapse of how I made it, and I'm going to take you step by step through the process. First we are going to create the visuals in Power BI, then we will do the design in Figma, which we will import back into Power BI and adjust the visuals there. All the data is ready to go, everything is prepared, the measures are calculated, so this is really just a design tutorial. You can link back and enjoy, or I also put a link in the description where you can download the file and work with me. Let's get started. We are going to start with a completely clean canvas. We will have an overview page and the details page. And as you can see in the data model, it's quite simple. We have one fact table with the email data and two dimension tables, one with the date and one with the hours, the daily hours. We will also have one table for the measures. In the data view, we can see the fact table is pretty simple. Email addresses, the subject, the country, if it's a received or a sent email, the time it was received, and also the date it was received. The dimension table is simply made in Power Query, and the hour table is just the hours of the day. I copied the values manually from Excel. So what we want to get out of this report is just have a general sense of our mailbox. Email volume, the overall trend along the months, also the distribution between received and sent emails, the weekly average email count, and also the daily traffic. Maybe we can identify some peak hours. Then we also want to go a bit more into detail and see what subjects and countries has the largest volume. I'm gonna copy the requirements in a text box. First we want to start with just a general sense what we have here. So let's see what measures we have. It's normally the email count. Everything is about the volume, how much emails we had, and also some averages here, as you can see. Let's see the total email count. Yeah, so we have 1,000 emails altogether. The data is a mock data. I got it from a site which randomly generated this. So there is no real life information in the data. So I had to adjust it a little bit to make some sense of it, for example, for the daily traffic. So we can have some peak hours, but other than that, it's totally random. I want to make this report a bit more descriptive, so not just titles, but kind of like in sentences, like to give a little context what this is all about. Let's make it a bit smaller, 35. We're going to have all the fonts of the values in DIN and the text always in Segway, I don't know. Alright, yeah, I want to make it this. Okay, we have the overall email count. Let's see what's the trend, how does it distribute along the month. I'm going to use an area chart and put month long on the x-axis, make it larger. We want to clean it as much as possible, like removing the clutter, which is going to be, yeah, we don't need a y-axis title. It's only volume in this report, so it's also a monthly report. People know what this is about. We don't have to point out, okay, this is email count. There is only email count in this whole report. So let's remove this. I'm going to keep the y-axis, so we have a sense of the magnitude. But let's make it 0, so it starts at 0. In fact, let's change the x-axis to month short, so it takes up less space. We don't need the grid lines. And let's make the line also a bit smoother, so not that thick. Change the color. And let's make the shade area a bit lighter. And also let's change the values to smaller. Segway 8, y-axis, value also 8, so we can make it smaller. So no title, and we also don't need the background. Alright, then let's see which month was the strongest. Like as you can see, it was probably November with 98 email count. I'm gonna copy this and change it to max email count by month. And which month was it? Is the month with max email count, which is November. I'm going to change it to Segway and make it smaller. We don't need it that large. And this is also going to be smaller. It kind of puts more emphasis on the total volume. In fact, we can make it even smaller. And we can also clean the background. Okay, but we don't know what these things are, so let's put some text there. 𝙬𝙬 is the total volume of emails, so let's put that. I'm gonna change it to Segway Light and make it 14 pixels large, change the color, and I like to make it bold. It kind of gives it a glow, which is really nice. Let's move it here, adjust it, remove the background, there you go. Okay, November has the highest volume of emails with 98 emails. So November has the highest volume with 98 emails. Let's adjust the size. Well, kind of see which one belongs to which one. We can align them a little bit. Let's select them all. Okay, we have the overall trend and the overall numbers. Let's see the distribution between sent and received. Let's copy this one. I'm going to remove this and put email count sent. I'm gonna give it a title. Total sent. Let's make it Segway, smaller, and central alignment. We can make the value also a bit smaller. We have some colors which we have here. We will use very few colors, like one gray. We will have shades of orange and shades of purple or blue, and some kind of bluish gray, which is going to be for the filter pane. Normally I would just copy this every time when I want to use it in the color palette, but we can use actually a theme for it. I think that's gonna be faster. View, click on the arrow, customize current theme, and let's put the colors in. I'm not gonna put every color because they don't fit. I'm gonna put the normal and the dark one. Orange, dark. Okay, so we put the 6 colors here. Let's hit apply. And now we can select the values. This is gonna be the normal color. I'm gonna adjust it also for the title. In fact, let's make it also Segway Light. It looks better. Okay, let's create the total received. And adjust the colors and the title. Purple, title. And purple again. Let's make it bigger. Okay. Looking good. I also want to show the distribution of both of them from the whole part. Let's put the pie chart and email sent, email received. Adjust the colors. Email sent is alright, email received is the purple one. We can change the order and we have to change the color again, okay? No details label, no legend, no nothing, no title, no background. Let's make it smaller. This is really just showing their relationship to the whole, but we will also want to see the monthly distribution between the two. I'm gonna copy the line chart or area chart, but instead of an area chart, we are going to use a stacked bar chart. I mean column chart. And adding the received email count, delete adding cent as well, change the colors, receive this purple, cent is orange, no legend, we don't need the legend, we already see which one is which, we don't need the extra information, it just takes up space. I'm gonna keep the y-axis again to see, so we are more interested in the trend. If we would be more interested in the values themselves, then we could put the numbers directly there. But what we want to show is the overall trend. Alright, we can put here also a title. Let's copy this. And we can put the title, the volume is distributed as follows. Let's adjust it. And let's make them fit a bit better. I select them all and just pull it a bit down. Okay, we have some details here. We have overall view, we have distribution. Let's go a bit more into detail. Let's see what are the weekly averages and also the peak hours in the daily traffic. We will put that on the other side. By the way, we can all move this a bit to this side. We won't need that much space. We will have the filter pane here. Can put a shape there to highlight it. I'm going to copy this for the weekly averages. Let's change the measure. Average weekly email count sent. Let's change the x-axis to weekday short. The color is okay, but let's make the shade area a bit darker. So less transparency. Let's make it smaller. Let's copy this. And this is gonna be the average weekly email count received. Change the colors. Purple looks nice. I will copy this one as well. For the weekly average number. Weekly average email count sent. We won't have a title here and I will make it a bit smaller to 20 and copy it and put the average email count received. Color purple. Again, we will have some text addition to it. I'm gonna copy this and write the weekly average volume is 2.5 emails sent and 7 emails received. It doesn't really make sense to have a number like 2.5. No one sends 0.5 emails, but it gives more context because the numbers are not high enough, and between 1.5 and 2.4 there is a big difference actually. Emails sent, 7 emails received. I'm gonna put here end. It's gonna be above a divider. We will put a divider line later, and this way it kind of forms a complete sentence. Next we want to see the daily traffic and if we have any peak hours. We're going to create a matrix for that with hours on the row, dim hour, and weekday short on the columns. There is a problem, like there is no relationship between the two dimension tables, but that's okay for us. If we put in the measure, it suddenly fixes itself. There is this treat as in the function which uses the dim hour as if it was the daily hours from the fact table. I had to put this is a calculated column, I forgot to put it. We have the date time sent received, but this is on minute values. But the dim hours has only hours granularity, so we had to put them on the same grain. It looks a bit messy, so let's clean it up. No style. We will have some grid. One width, that's okay. And we want to remove this column and row grid. I just come here and select top, and it removes them. Let's put the global font size to 8, no subtotals, and we will format the cell elements. We will give a background color and a font color based on the volume. That's the background color. This is going to go from light orange to dark orange. In fact, we are going to make it a bit different, make it more orangey. And how should we format the empty values? Don't format them, so they are going to stay transparent. We do the same for the font color. We're just going to copy this color. Yeah. And one other thing, show all the hours also without data. It's gonna be 24 hours. Go to general, give it a title, daily distribution, make it 𝙪𝙤𝙧𝙧 light, a bit smaller, white and gray, and also remove the background. There is one more thing, that the columns doesn't have the same width. And what we can do, I created a placeholder with the month, MO, with the day, Monday, MO, or Montag for German. So I'm going to put it into the values. It all looks messed up now, but if we come here to the values and switch values to rows, then they are showed one under the other. And if we go to column headers and options, auto size width, now everything has the Monday column width. I can just remove the placeholder, adjust the first column width, and they all look the same now. Okay, I'm gonna copy this, and this is going to be for the received emails. And all we have to do is adjusting the colors. So background color, giving some purple, and from this to this, don't format, and do the same for the font color. Okay, that looks good. What we can do is to align them a little bit. We can move these down a little bit, and also make this here less crowded. As for the filters, we don't need this one anymore. And as for the filters, we can give card selection, what date is selected. I use this multi-row card because it aligns the text in one side instead of in the middle, like with cards. No category labels. And here you don't adjust the callout value, but you adjust the cards. So it's gonna be 𝙪𝙤𝙧𝙧. I'm gonna make it this color we will change later anyway, and no accent bar. Also remove the background and make the values smaller. Something like this. We will have a title here, but we will do it in Figma. We will have buttons navigating between overview and details, and here is going to be our filter selection. Let's put the filters already, but we will adjust them later. The first one is for the date. I'm gonna put year and month long. Make it a drop-down selection. Let's change the title. 𝙪𝙤𝙧𝙧. Okay, color. We will adjust the color later anyway. This is good for now. This is going to be for the subject. Change slicer header to subject. And one more copy for the country. The country we receive the emails from, or the country we send the email to. Remove subject and change the title to country. Let's adjust the size. Yeah, it looks good. I'm going to copy this one on the other page, the details page, and we will do the rest here. And we will also copy the distribution because we want to have kind of the same formatting for our stacked bar charts. But we will put subject to the y-axis, make it larger, remove the y-axis title and remove the x-axis completely. Add the total labels. And what we want to have here is only the top 10 values. We have some measures for it. There is a subject rank measure where we can put it less than or equal to 10. So it's gonna be the first 10 values. And this is necessary for the ties. If we have two subjects with the same email account, it will rank them alphabetically. I'm gonna put tooltips email account and I will sort it based on the total email account. Okay, I'm gonna copy this and replace subject with country and also rank it by country rank. It's less than or equal to 10 or less than 11, it's the same. Let's add some more details so we can add a table and have the actual emails listed there. Let's populate it with folder, which is either it's received or sent, then the subject, then the email address, country, and date sent or received. I'm just going to call it date. Let's adjust the columns. Let's declutter it, so we are going to remove the style. We don't need anything. We can keep the horizontal lines though, because it kind of shows, it's kind of easier on the eye to follow through the line. But we don't need the rest. We don't need this border on the top. And we can make the column headers a bit bulkier. Let's use 𝙪𝙬𝙧𝙬 semi-bold. The values can be also a bit lighter, not completely black. And remove the background. Also, let's put 3 cards here to see what's the overall total sent and received email count. I'm gonna copy the total sent and received cards. And also we will add with the same formatting the total email count. Let's change the color to gray, dark gray, title as well, and call it total volume. We can adjust one of them, like let's say total volume is this size. Larger, and I'm going to select all of them, go to general properties, and for the first visual which we selected will be the numbers shown here, but if we adjust it, it's going to adjust all 3 visuals. Let's change the width as well, and we can align them. This aligns them also to the top of the highest laying visual, and we can align them also horizontally. Also, we need to add some context because we don't really know what these things are. So let's make some space. I'm gonna make it a bit smaller. Bring them down. Let's make the spacing actually also a bit narrower for the bars. Let's put 30 and add a title to both of them. This one will have the title by subject. 𝙪𝙬𝙧𝙬, light, bold, gray, and that's the same 𝙪𝙬𝙧𝙬, light, bold, gray, by country. And we will have one text here, which is going to be top 10 largest email volume by subject or by country. Okay, move them a bit more down. And in fact, move everything a bit more down. Okay. Also put a title to this matrix. This is going to be our simple email list. Again, 𝙪𝙤𝙧𝙧, light, which is bold, and gray. Okay, so we have all the visuals we need. We will import it in Figma, but let's make some frames so we have like a frame for the design for both pages. Let's start with this. I'm going to make it transparent, 100% transparency, and copy it many times. This is for the cards. This is for the two bar charts. They are going to be separated, but they will still have one common ground. Like this. And like this. Let's make this one a bit larger. It doesn't have to be accurate, this is just an outline. And let's copy one more for the email list. I'm gonna copy this shape and do the same on the overview side. We will have one section here for the total overviews, then one section for the distribution, then one section here for the weekly averages, and one section each for the daily distributions. Let's align this a little bit. View, selection. I'm gonna select all shapes, group them with Ctrl+G, put them to the bottom, so we can access it now, the visuals, and change the size, adjusting it to the daily distribution. Just approximately, we will do this fine work at the very end anyway. Let's pull them a bit lower. Okay, this is ready to import. If I had sensitive data and like working for a company and they have a problem uploading sensitive data into Figma, which is cloud-based, I would just simply make all these shapes non-transparent. We don't need that in this case now. We will just create two screenshots. One for the overview. I copy it into Figma. Just Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. And let's copy the other one as well, the details. Okay, that's the detail, that's the overview. Okay, let's move it in the middle, Figma. I'm going to create a frame first, pressing F. I'm going to select presentation slide, which is 1920 by 1080. This is bigger than the canvas in Power BI. The canvas in Power BI has the same ratio but a lower resolution. But if we import the background, we want to have a better resolution, so that's a way to do it. Let's call it overview. And we can just drag and drop the screenshot of the overview page, align it to the corner and stretch it to the other corner. We will also import our background. Also pulling it in, aligning, and it fits perfectly. Great. By the way, the colors, the orange and purple, are picked based on the background. So this is a purplish color and this is like an orangish color. That was the inspiration for it. We will start with the basic shape, pressing R for rectangle, and this will be below other shapes. Let's adjust the corners to 30, make it rounded. The fill is going to be white. You can just press F and tab and overlay. it makes it a bit transparent, but we will make it even more transparent, like 40%. Give it a stroke, make it white, F. It's also gonna be overlay and make it 35%. If we turn off the image, it looks like this. Give it some shadow effects, drop shadow, 6x, 6y, 6 blur. Color is black, that's okay, and give it 10%. This is 10% opacity, not transparency. It's like 10% opaque and 90% transparent. Give it another effect, inner shadow, with 2, 2, 5, and 5% opacity. Add one more effect, which is gonna be a background blur with 50 blurriness. Okay, let's turn the image back. It looks like this. And now we are going to create two separate rectangles above this rectangle for the top and the bottom part. I'm gonna select the rectangle again, pressing Ctrl D to copy. You see it has been copied, duplicated. Let's resize it, and I want to adjust also the fill to 50%, stroke 50% as well. Let's make the drop shadow shallower, 4, 4, 4. The inner shadow and the background blur can stay the same. And let's make it a bit smaller than the below rectangle. I want to have an edge of 5 pixels each side. So I'm just gonna press right arrow 5 times, 5, bottom arrow 5 times, or down arrow 5 times. Gonna resize it to match it, and then I'm going to remove 5 pixels from the width, subtract. Okay, that looks good. If I turn off the image, it looks like this. I really like this glassy effect, it looks very smooth. And we can copy this bottom rectangle, pressing Ctrl D, and just align them horizontally with the top one, like this. Adjust the bottom size, and we will subtract 5, 4, 5, 6. Make it also here, like this. If you press Alt, you can see the distances from the other ones. So I'm going to go one down, remove 4, 4, 6, 5, 5, and 10. That's good. I'm gonna move the image a bit above. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fine. Let's make a gradient here just to highlight a little bit this distribution. I hit R, make a rectangle, adjust the corners 30, give it a fill. I'm gonna turn it off, and I'm going to give a fill from the background. Like, give it a purple fill. Make it linear. Okay, let's make it like this. And also a bit more transparent. It's very little effect, but it gives a nice outline for the bar charts, column charts. Okay, I'm gonna group this without the image. Ctrl G, and it's gonna be left side pane. I keep the selection on the group, I press Alt and drag it. So I made a copy of it. I'm gonna open it and rename it first of all, right side pane. Remove the gradient, make the whole group a bit larger. Turn on the image again so you can adjust it accordingly. Select the top rectangle and like this. 5 on the top, 5 on the left, but 11 on the right side, so we can just add 6 to the width. Okay, that looks nice. Move this up, like having 13 on the side. 13, I'm gonna move it up 3 times. and gonna move it to the bottom completely and remove 5 from the height. It looks like the bottom rectangle is not aligned with the other rectangle. I'm going to select the bottom rectangle and align it like this. Now it's good. Oh, by the way, I want to make it half size and put another one here. 14, 5, 5, 14. It's 396 wide and this is 400 wide. So I'm just gonna add 4 here, 400, and move 4 to the left. Yeah, okay, that looks great. Turning off the image. Yeah, getting there slowly. We are going to create the filter pane now. Pressing R. Zooming in a little bit. And like this. Let's make it the same size like the other rectangles. Same height. Let's change the corners to 30. And let's change the color to 474759. Let's give it a drop shadow, X10, Y10, blur 15, opacity 35. Turn off the image. It kind of gives an effect that is further away from the background and it's higher above all of the other elements. Let's add some gradient to it. I'm gonna copy it with Ctrl D. Make it smaller. Let's change the fill. 171738. Make it linear. Let's make the first one 0% opaque and the other one 50. Sometimes it copies this one and this is still 0, so we can just delete this one and move this one here. It can be 75. Remove the drop shadow and it gives some nice radiant effect to it. Let's give it a title. It's gonna be email report overview. I'm gonna select them all, make it segue, make it semi-bold, size 34. You can also adjust the distance between the letters. And in fact, selecting both the bottom rectangle and the email report text and distribute it like this. Yeah, it can be larger. Distribute it again. And then we will need some space for this date card, and we will also have some buttons here. So we will have the filters around this area. I'm just gonna copy this one again, rectangle 5, Ctrl D, make it smaller. Move 10 inches to the right side with pressing Shift and the right arrow. And remove 20 from the width. So this is in the middle. Remove drop shadow, change the color to 3D51 and move it above the gradient. Let's turn off the image. Okay, that looks pretty solid. What we can check here is sometimes if the layers are transparent, the background can interfere with the numbers and the data, so we can just make sure that it's as white as possible here. I'm going to create an ellipse, pressing O, and just giving it some white highlight. Fill is white and effect is layer blur. Make it 150. Here will be the two numbers, the total sent and total received, and the pie chart. And I think the rest should be okay. Gonna add it to the left side pane And we can also add some highlights here. That's not necessarily, it's just some design. Pressing O again. Gonna go here, doing the same, white, effects, layer blur, give it 50. Doesn't make a big difference, it just gives some highlight to the bottom. If it's below the left side pane. Let's just copy it, pressing Alt and dragging it. Like this. And one more time. I will copy it one more time again, below this one, and change the color to like this. Alright. If I group them, you can see the effect. It gives a little flash to it, but you can argue that it's totally unnecessary. Now we have the overview. Let's create the details page. Let's select the whole overview frame, hold down Alt, and you can just drag it. This is going to be details. Here's the image. We don't, okay. I'm gonna copy this image just for the sake of having it also separately, but we can close the overview now. And we have the other image, which we will put here into the details pane. Again, copying it like this. Perfect. Okay, here we need less panes. We can delete the complete left side, right side pane. From the left side pane, we don't need the ellipse for now. We just move it out of the left side pane, and we don't need the gradient. And let's adjust everything. There will be one bottom layer for the both bars and the matrix. Let's move this to the corner. Okay, now 5 to the right, 5 to the bottom. And let's copy this one holding down Alt. Aligning it with this, and then 5 to the left, 5 to the bottom. There is no distance between them. We can make this one 5 smaller. And this one also 5 smaller, 5 pixels smaller, and then move 5 back to the right. Let's turn the image back. And for the volumes, well, honestly I think it looks better if we make this one larger and put the cards also on the top of this. I'm gonna copy this one, Ctrl D, and just move it up to the corner. Turn off the image again, and 5 to the right, 5 to the bottom, and make it much smaller. Like this. Okay, that's a proper size. Okay, one to the right. Adjust the drop shadow. 2, and make it 25. Kind of stands out a bit more. It puts a little bit more emphasis on these numbers. Let's make here a bit less space. Make the height 10 pixels larger, so we have here only 10 pixels difference. Press Alt and drop it, drag and drop it again. 10 pixels distance. And drag and drop it again, and align them completely. We will change these ellipses. We don't need the white ones. We will keep the black one, and we had this ellipse here. We will move it here to the matrix and make it larger, so the data is more visible when the matrix is there or the table is there. width, without. Let's change the title to email report details. And one last thing remains is to create the buttons. We will have two buttons, an overview and a detail button. Zoom in, press R, create a rectangle. Corners, let's change it individually. Click here. The first one is going to be 15, that's the top left corner. And the bottom left corner is the last one, that's gonna be 15 as well. This had the size of 300, let's make it 150. And align it with it, kind of like this. So, and we also don't need that much of a gap here. We can move this one a little bit up. Pressing Shift and up arrow, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's okay. Let's move this one up as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get back to the button. The color is going to be 3D 50. 100% opacity, that's okay. Let's give it a stroke. Black is okay, and give it 5% opacity. Just gives a little outline to it. Let's give a drop shadow. 0 on the x-axis and 2 on the y-axis, so it goes only to the bottom, and give only one blur. Opacity is okay. Let's put the text on top of it. This one is going to be overview. You can make it smaller, 24. Align it in the middle of the rectangle. We can group them and call them overview default. Let's copy it. Ctrl D, move it to the side. Select only the rectangle inside of it. Right mouse click and flip horizontally. So the rounded corners are on the other side now. Let's change the text, details, and move it in the middle again. Okay, we have the default buttons. This is going to be details default. We can move them here so we have more space. Let's copy both of them here, and this is going to be the hover state. On, hover, on, hover. Move it to the top. Select them both and change the color here to a lighter tone. 51516B. Now we will create an inactive state, or an active state, better said. When we are on the overview page, it should be not active in the sense that we can't click it, but it shows the active page. Add drop. We can make the color a bit darker. We can just do it manually, like this. And we will add the line which initiates that it's clicked on. Let's make it white and straight. Move it to the top. Let's add 2 stroke and move it to the top, and here it should align up with the other edge, with the edge of the button. Okay, this is overview active. We put it on the top, change it to active, put the line in, copy the rectangle, Ctrl D, select it with the line, and go to use a mask. So this is using the bottom rectangle as a container for the line, so it cut off the edge of it actually. That's what we want. And we are going to create the details button, just pressing Alt and copying it details active, and let's flip the line and the masking. The text stays the same direction, and change the text to details. Align it with this rectangle. Great. Alright, we have the 3 phases. We have everything in Figma. We can import the design back into Power BI. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna group all the buttons one more time. And we can export them all at the same time. Going to export. Be careful if you export the buttons group itself, it exports it as one photo. But if you select the parts separately, it's gonna export 6 layers. Select the folder, save. You can turn this on, select the frame details, export this one as well. You see you have all the buttons here, then details, overview, don't forget to turn off the image, and export it as well. I really hope I didn't forget anything, it looks good to me, and we can go back to Power BI. Let's start with the overview page. First of all, we can delete all the shapes, we don't need them. We put this group in the bottom, you can just delete it. And let's import the background first. Graphics, overview. 0 transparency, that's okay. And click on fit. We don't need this one as well. Okay, it looks really nice. We can adjust these first. Go to formatting, general, effects, no background. You can change the color to almost white, and let's change the values as well to white or almost white. You can see the background here is still white. You can just go here and give it the same color, which was this. We put it before here and it has the same color now. You can adjust them, you can just position the first one and the last one, select them all and distribute them vertically. Move it a bit more in the middle. We can adjust the bar charts a little bit so they fit better to this. Alright, this one looks good to me. We can move this a little bit to the top. We can adjust these as well. And I see we forgot the divider here. I'm gonna go back to Figma and make it. Which is just a line basically. Okay, color is okay. We can make it more transparent, make the width free, round the corners, and we can give it an inner shadow in the X direction. 0, 1, 0, 1, make it 10%. Looks a bit harsh, we can go down to 20 maybe. Yeah, okay, that's good. I'm gonna export it separately now. Line 2. Go back to Power BI and insert it here. Yeah, looks good. We can move the end on the top of it. Alright. This is gonna be emails. Let's change the November size. Also, maybe September is even bigger, so we can make it even larger. Alright. And let's just center align them. Okay, right. You can select these and copy onto the detail side. Sync it. I'm gonna group them, Ctrl G, filters. Let's delete the shapes and import the background. Details, fit. Yeah, we can make these boxes a bit smaller, so we can go back to Figma and make everything here a bit smaller. I think something like this. Okay. And export it again, details. Yeah, this one looks better. Can make it a bit smaller and bring these a little bit down. Can adjust the cards as well. If for some reason here the frame is visible but it doesn't have a frame, it's a Power BI visibility issue seemingly. No borders. Yeah, I guess if I restart it, it's gone. And let's insert the buttons finally. I'm going to create the button. Black button. You can zoom in a bit. Remove everything from the style. No border, no icon. You will only have a fill. And if we import an image, overview default for example, and no transparency, fit it. You can see that the white background is still there. What we can do about it is you cannot really change the transparency of it. If you change the transparency, it changes it from the image as well. So what we can do is to give a field rule. I created a transparent color, which is this hex code of the white plus the level of opacity, which I put to 0. So that should be transparent. We can go here, field value, measures, and transparent color. Okay. And as you can see, it's gone. Very nice. We can copy this one now and have our active default button. Active details. Fit it. We will give the other effects to the overview on hover. Insert the overview on hover. Fit it, and on press we don't have an effect, so this is it. We can copy them to the overview page. It has the same position. First we remove the default settings and add the overview active image. It added to the on hover state. We have to add it on the default state as well. Fit. And the details are going to be details default and on hover stage details on hover. Fit it. Also we are going to add action to it. We can create page navigation, and the destination is going to be details, and we do the same for the overview button on the details page. Action, page navigation, and overview. Let's see how this works. You can select year, everything adjusts. Select country. Yeah, that looks good. We can go to the overview page. and here looks everything fine as well. If we select here something, yeah, we can make some adjustments how the visuals should interact, but we will leave it for this now. And I'm satisfied with it. I think it's pretty nice. There are a lot of possibilities for improvement, but this is a good basic email report. I hope you liked the video and maybe you could also learn something from it. If you have any feedback, critique or whatever, you can just leave a comment. Or you can also like the video, or you can subscribe if you want to see similar videos in the future. See you next time.